Good morning. It's January 10th, and we're here going to talk about a few names that are in the news in the retail space. A lot of analysts are estimating who benefits most from a 4B. What's a 4B? That's a Bed Bath & Beyond bankruptcy. With 884 stores, it sounds like off-price retailers will be big beneficiaries. We'd already talked about Target, but these guys are also going to benefit potentially up to 30% of sales. So off-price companies have an extremely high, say 99% overlap in customer areas, according to Bernstein, and over a 90% overlap in category mix, albeit a lower overlap in actual stores, somewhere between 10 to 25%. Also, these competitors can buy a chunk of the $1.4 billion of excess inventory at Triple B, especially at attractive margins because they're going bankrupt, and then house some of it for the future. Analysts are estimating that most of the goods is pretty much on target, no pun intended, outside of baby goods that are hard, kitchen appliances, and outdoor hardware, such as furnishings. And this would translate into a roughly 3+% lift in EPS and benefit these companies for a couple of years. So we're going to go over to Longbow now and take a look at a few of these names to see where they're trading. As a disclaimer, our firm does hold TJX in a number of accounts, but for the purpose of today, I'm not advocating any trade. I'm just trying to make sense of where these guys are technically. So what are we seeing in these names from a technical point of view? The fundamental decisions I'll leave up to you. So first, we're going to go to Burlington stores. They're, maybe less prowess than Ross and TJX, but obviously that they would benefit immensely from something like a bankruptcy from Bed Bath & Beyond. So we're going to check on Burlington stores here now. We can see that, the whites here are between the greens and the reds, so it means they're in the middle of their ranges. So the trading ranges are neutral for all of them. Nobody's giving a core signal of buy or sell, but we can see short-term signals are all bullish on these names. Obviously, after good Costco prints and the news about Bed Bath & Beyond, a lot of these names have gone up. But we're also seeing, remember, for Target, they had a pretty tough November prints. That's more bearish on an intermediate term. And then we're looking at applied volatility signals. We're seeing premiums across the board from 50%, which is on the low side for Target, up to 65% for TJX. But this is saying that people are paying up for protection. So let's dig into that a little bit. So for Burlington, what are we saying? This is the trading range. So you can click on that and see where it's traded. So when it's been hitting the bottom end, it went up, it hit the top end, it was going down, then it hit the top end. It's muddled around, hit the bottom end. It was a good buy time. And again, here now it's come a little bit down from the top end of its range more recently. So this is a 3-month view. And I'm going to look at the momentum indicator. Where are we at here in Burlington? So we're above the short-term and intermediate-term momentum signals. And the one thing I would note here, so again, it's in the middle of the trading range. I'd be waiting till you got a buy signal at the low end of the trading range, and that's going to be closer to here, this is the momentum, but we'll come back to the trading range in a second. But then for momentum, you want to see it above these. And then short interest are at 7%. So 7% of folks are short on this name, which could be an upside catalyst. So you could dig in fundamentally why that is the case. And this will compare to the other couple names we're going to take a look at. But it's got a beta of 1.35, so a bit of a spicy beta there. And then the trading range, sorry, I didn't have that before, just on the top of my head. The low is at $200 roughly, and then the high here at 232 and change. So you're looking at upside of 5.7, the downside, 8 and change. So it's minus 1.5 to the downside. Obviously not the right asymmetric bet to make right now. And none of the core signals are signaling buy or sell. So you're just in a neutral range, but you'd be watching this one. For Ross, kind of a similar boat in many of the ways, although when a beta is 1.23, it's got a more narrow range, so high of up 3%, down 4.2. So the range is minus 1.38 to 1. So I call that very similar to Ross. But the short interest is really different. It's a 1.3%. So people were expecting these guys to benefit probably during downturns if people trade down. We've seen the stats talking about Costco and others where they're going to more private label. People are buying Kirkland more, other type of labels like that. But you can see that people are a little bit less worried here in terms of the short level. And then you're going to get the applied volatility. On a 1 day, it's at a premium, but it's been at a discount. So you can take that into consideration. you're going to want to be seeing, prices more at 114 and a half before you would want to enter Ross stores. But also, it's been a pretty narrow range, widened a little bit more recently, probably just because of some of the volatility. But that's where Ross is today. And then TJX, you've got here a trading range of 78 and a half to call it 81 and a half. So you've got, a beta of 0.93 though, so a bit better in terms of less volatile. And the trading range odds though are more to the negative. Let's go back here to, the trading range. And the short interest is almost nothing. So not many people are worried about this other than in terms of like building short positions. But you do have this big implied volatility premium. I mean, people are paying up for protection. Maybe they're a little bit worried about some upcoming news. But you've seen here, it's like up and to the right. We're in, roughly call it the middle of the range, bullish short-term, intermediate term momentum indicators, but nicely above both of those. But again, not cheap enough to be entering if you're looking for that. And then target, which you talked about before, pretty much strictly in the middle of its range. I'll let you guys go take a look at that and see why maybe this was a bearish medium-term signal. But we'd be a lookout for these, obviously potential beneficiaries of any type of bankruptcy. So most of the move probably captured already, but you might see additional move in these names if there's more certainty in the bankruptcy of Bed Bath & Beyond. That's it for today. Hopefully that was helpful to take a look at how we would look at these names when you're seeing, call it some flashy news going on, put these names in your quiver. You can take a look at them and see, okay, where are we on these? Is there something that maybe we want to dig into more and do? Or do we have time on that? That's it for today, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.